Up to this point in our Node.js authentication backend, we can sign up, log in, and verify emails successfully using an OTP system. Now let's see how we can safely reset forgotten passwords based on the OTP system we created earlier. To start this, we need a new domain for forgotten passwords, so we create a new directory for that. We then create a file for handling the routes. Here we import Express and initialize an Express router. The first route we'll handle is the one to be used for requesting a password reset, so that's the forgot password. This will be a post request to the root path. To this, we pass an async route handler which takes the request and response parameters. Now to trigger the forgot password, we need the user email address, so we destructure that from the body of the request. We then check if it's empty. If that's true, we throw an error with a message. Otherwise, we have a good email, so we can proceed. To proceed, we'll do that in a controller file. Here, we create a simple async function that will be used to send a password reset email to the user. This function will expect to receive the email of the user. Now to start, we check to see if a user with the provided email exists in our system. To do this, we import the user model. Now we check for the existing user by passing the email address. If there is no record, we throw an error with an appropriate message. Also, we might want to limit the password reset to only verified users. If that's the case, we check for the verified property of the fetched user. If the user isn't verified already, we throw an error with a message. At this point, we create and send a one-time PIN to the user, so we have to prepare the details for it. The OTP system we created expects an email, a subject, a message, and an optional duration. Now we import the send OTP function from the OTP domain. We then pass it the details to create and send the OTP to the user. After this, we return the created OTP. In the case of any error, we throw it, and at the bottom, we export the function. Now, back in the route file, we import the function we just created to send the email. We then call it with the email to send the OTP to the user, which also returns the created OTP. Now we respond to a successful request by passing the created OTP. In the case of an error, we send an error response with the received message, and at the bottom, we export the router. Now to be able to test this part, we expose the route to the server app. We start this by creating an index file in the forgot password domain. In this file, we import and export the routes. Next, we visit the index file in the main route directory. Here, we import the forgot password route. We then assign the forgot password path to the imported route. At this point, we can test. So with the server still running in the background, we open Postman and create a post request. Here, we supply the path to request for a password reset. We then set the body of the request to JSON and pass an email address. To get no errors, this should be already in the database and should be verified. If all goes well, we should receive the new OTP record. Also, checking our inbox, we should see a new email about the request with an OTP. This sums up the first part. Next, we'll work on verifying the OTP and updating the user password. Now we can save and commit all the changes in our code and proceed in the next part. Link to the full source code will be in the description.